brand new episode here on Bevington Farm. How are we all doing? Hopefully you're all having a good day and your day is going well. Anyway, as you know from the last episode, which went out last Monday, excusez-moi, I've been racing all weekend, as you've probably known from last week, when all of the stock car stuff was going out from Thursday to Sunday, and then also as well there was obviously a separate little video to which people may have enjoyed, may not have done. You know, it's basically the reason why I'm kind of doing it is that I've always kind of felt that I think people need to get to know the person behind the microphone, and occasionally the camera, for when I do my little video vlogs from either in the car or wherever. It's not very often that I do them, but I will be able to hopefully get into doing more. But yeah, so I just kind of thought, it'd be nice for other people to see what I get up to and what I do, and we're not changing the channel as such, but we're adding an extension to the channel. We're sort of doing some real life videos now as well. I've got some things coming up over the next sort of couple of 3 weeks to a month, where we're really going to be able to see some different things, and hopefully it be enjoyable, and hopefully be interesting as well. So yeah, but anyway, back to this episode. As you'll know from last week, we cut the grass. Well, we did quite a bit. We rolled, we drilled, we introduced the new tractor, we did this, that and everything else. I don't know why some of the grass is going brown and some of the grass is not. Could just be Giants' wonderful patches that have clearly broken something else. I have no idea. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, so the great thing about a Giants patches, and I think Mr. CDP put it quite eloquently on one of his video titles, which was patch 1 point whatever was out, and then it's like, is out. I wonder what's broken now. I just sort of thought, yeah, that's kind of when I saw the patch had been released, I was like, okay, what have we broke this time? Honestly, like this game has clearly been more than Giants were capable of doing, in the sense of I can't ever remember any other version of Farming Sim where, as the patches came, they kept breaking new things that were not broken before. I might, and it might be a biased memory, so I'm not going to say it's a definite, but from what I can remember, if something in the game was broken and Giants released the patch, it fixed the broken things that they released in the patch for, but didn't affect all of the other stuff that was already okay. Like I say, I might be remembering that as a biased memory, and actually that wasn't the case, and actually this is just following suit. But yeah, the problem is, and they've gone kind of, on the one hand I criticise, on the other hand there is a part of my brain that says, yeah, but it's good business though, isn't it? And they've got their fingers in far too many pies, and my guess is, like any company, they've spread themselves as thin as they can, where they have a very tiny team on each thing, you know, whether it be the VR game, whether it be the 64-bit game thing, like why that needs to be done, I have no idea. Well, money, but you know, like, I mean, the VR thing I can kind of understand, but for me, if I was making a farming game, I would be like, well, this is where we earn our money. This game, PC, PlayStation, Xbox, etc., etc., is where we earn our money. This game has to be bang on before we do anything else. And I've said before, they shouldn't keep every 2 years or 3 years or whatever it is now releasing a new game. Just keep building on the game you have. Euro Truck have done it absolutely brilliantly. You know, where they've not continually built new games. You know, for well over 10 years now, I've had Euro Truck. It's been the same game, and they just every now and again a big patch comes out, a big, you know, DLC or whatever comes out, changes the game a little bit, brings in some new physics, brings in some new mechanics, and everything works okay. Don't get me wrong, I don't have the mods in that I do in Farming Sim, and that is where the sort of issue does come along. But I'm sure even that's not a huge, massive workaround for everyone. I mean, I don't know. I don't make mods, so I may be talking rubbish there. But yeah, you know, I just think they've spread themselves so thin over so many projects that things are being tested to see whether they fix the things they're intended to fix, but are not being sort of tested to see whether they've actually broken something else that wasn't broken in the first place. And as I say, I think giants need to have a long, hard look at themselves, or you know, the makers of Farming Simulator need to have you know, a long, hard look at themselves and think, actually, you know, people are paying, to what, like, you know, myself included, is a lot of money for a computer game, for it to kind of, I mean, this is the only sort of computer game series that I spend really any money on. I'd love to have FIFA, I'd love to have like all the latest other games that I really know I would enjoy, like Call of Duty and stuff, but I can't afford them. You know, that is the plain and sort of simple of it. I can't afford them, you know. But Farming Sim, you know, I do save for. I do have a Farming Sim kitty that's sort of kind of, I hope, going to build always enough to you know, sort of get me the game, get me some DLCs if I like any of the DLCs, like the Mercedes one that's coming up. That doesn't really interest me, but the expansion does. So I'll be getting that. You know, Nexat and Plains and Prairies. It didn't at first, but I was sort of kind of lucky that you know, a little bit of money came in from somewhere else, and I was like, oh well, actually then, you know, seeing as I've got that, you know, I can buy them now. So and I'm pleased that, you know, that I was able to, because I haven't used the Nexat one yet. I'm trying to find a save, you know, where we can do a sort of, you know, series on it where we just use that, you know, and sort of kind of see how that goes. But yeah, can't find anything where I can use it, but I will do, as I say, and you know, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, let's crack on with today's episode. Today we are doing this grass, and we are going to be getting hay off these two grasses. That one has, you wouldn't believe it, but it has been tedded. So I will row it and see what goes in the baler. If it doesn't say hay, then we're in a lot of trouble. As I say, this non sort of tedding thing has happened since the patch, where we don't get the texture anymore. Don't get me wrong, it was an awful texture, but at least you knew the grass had been, you know, sort of tedded. So if we don't get that, then yeah, we're in a spot of bother, because we won't have hay to make TMR, which is what obviously I am looking to make, and so we'll see what happens. But we'll get it rowed up, we'll get it baled, and then the other grasses that are left, because there are still some grass fields that we haven't done anything to, those that are left are going to be cut and rowed. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hire a forage wagon, and we will pick that grass up, and then we'll put the silage into the bunker, because it's something I don't normally do, and I'd like to sort of do it that way. Normally what I do is row it and bale it and wrap it and be done with it. But we could do it, as I say, the way with the forage wagon, and then sort of do it that way. So yeah, anyway, I'm going to switch over to a little bit of time lapse now, and when we come back, we'll recap what we've done, and then we'll crack on with some more stuff. So I'll see you all in a minute. Right, so I'm back. So as you saw, we were baling the fields, and I think at the point where I stopped recording, just because you don't want to see me bale endless fields, although it was only the one next door. Now the one next door, but for 2 bales, was entirely silage. So we kind of, from last week's episode, we kind of thought the grass looked a bit weird, and then also as well, it's now looked weird because some bits had turned over to hay, and some bits hadn't. So because some bits hadn't, some bits hadn't, when we baled it, all the bits that hadn't, which was most of the fields, was still grass, and so therefore the baler took it that I wanted to silage, which is a natural assumption, and subsequently wrapped the bale. So I'm kind of going to have to leave the forage wagon idea, just because now with all those silage bales, I now do have more than enough silage for the year, because I wasn't intending to silage any of the grass that we cut there. Now I do have a solution, because I did just pop out of game and I did try it on a completely clean save, and it appears that the map that's been updated, which is this one, obviously we're playing with the updated one, it appears that it's been updated with an error, and the error is that you can no longer cut grass, and it will all be when you ted it, you can cut the grass fine, but when you ted it, not all of the grass will go to hay. And I tried it across the spring, and I tried it across the autumn, and the spring, the summer, and the autumn, and yeah, turns out no go. That's not happening. So that leaves me with a bit of an issue. As I say, that does leave me with a little bit of an issue, because it's kind of like, well, okay, but what am I now going to do for hay? Now, I have got a solution to it, and I probably will do the solution, but what I will also do is I will do the solution to it as a separate video, so that if you guys want to do the same thing, you can see how I do it, because it does involve a little bit of trickery with the map XML, so you can trick the map into basically giving you hay, but it does mean that when you do the trick, you can no longer use, well, as far as I know, you can no longer use grass. Well, I don't know, you might be able to use hay, that might be worth trying out, but in the traditional sense of cutting grass, rowing it, and then bale and wrapping it, you can't use grass for that anymore, because the balers will just read it as hay and they won't wrap it. But whether you could collect it with a forage wagon and put it in there and then do, I don't know whether it will convert hay into silage. Again, we could trick the game into allowing us to do that as well. So, but that then opens up a whole new can of worms, as in you won't be able to have hay anymore unless you've got a square baler that will just bale it without wrapping it. So it opens up too big a can of worms doing it that way. But yeah, I can trick the game into giving me hay when it doesn't want to, or doesn't think it should do, but is forced to, because of a few little XML tweaks even that we can make with the game. So let me know in the comments whether you're okay with that, and then if you are okay with it, I will change it for the next episode, and then we will cut the remaining grass, and we will then take hay from the remaining grass. I'm fairly certain that the change that I'm thinking about should work. I haven't tried it yet, but as I say, if you guys sort of come back to me and say, yeah, fine, go ahead, do it. As I say, I'll do it as a separate video, so that you guys know how to do it as well. So that if you sort of just want basically instant hay, then I'll show you how to do that. As I say, I've done it on another map that I was playing on, because it had a similar type issue where, so I don't necessarily think it's a map thing. I think Giants, again, in their update, have broken something else, because it did actually happen on another map. So yeah, as I say, for me to say just at the beginning of this, that it might be a map update thing, and that it sort of got broken. Thinking about it, as I was talking now, I was like, well, actually, I had to do it on another map as well. So the chances are the Giants broke something else, which, as I said at the start of the video, it's amazing that in this version of the game that they managed to fix a problem, or a few little problems, but they then create more problems elsewhere. And as I said, without getting into it again, it's because I think they have too many fingers and too many pies. They're stretched so thinly that they just, that a lot of the work's going unchecked. That, I think Giants have become very money orientated and very blasé about the quality that they now put out. Because I think certainly from 2009 when I started playing, I personally, I know people are going to disagree with me, and that's fine, that's your right. You have every right to disagree with me. But I think Giants made steady progress in every version of the game, improving it, and I think up until FS22 that was the case. FS19 and FS22 being my two favourite versions of the game. FS25 is shocking. They charge me more money for it, and it's shocking, and it has been shocking since day one, and we're almost a year in now. And I get the sense and the feeling that Giants think if they just keep putting out little patches here, there, and everywhere, that it gives us the illusion they are working very hard on fixing the game. Well, they're not really, are they? Because any like Euro Truck, and I always use Euro Truck because for me they're in sort of a similar breath, and I think they're in for game developers, they're in a similar situation. When Euro Truck has an issue, new DLC or something happens, and something in the game doesn't quite work properly. I've had it where myself and many of the game players have said, oh, by the way, this doesn't seem to work properly now. And within a month to 6 to 8 weeks, SCS Software have sorted it. And it hasn't created problems elsewhere. They've dedicated a whole team to them, a couple of sets of problems, and they've sorted it. And as I say, FS25 for me has just been a complete, and it's such a shame actually, because on the face of it, for me again personally, and I'm only speaking for myself, I'm not speaking for other people, I don't know about other people, but I'm only speaking for myself. With the inclusion of peas, which is something that I'd always wanted. We've got onions coming up now, which is again another crop that I've always wanted. Spinach that I didn't really know that much about. Although I was talking to someone from Farm 2 the other day when I was talking to them, because they were in the fields not too far from where I live. And I said to them, I said, because they were talking about farming sim, and they said, it's good to see spinach in the game. And I said, yeah. I said, why did we never grow spinach? And they sort of looked at me and we did. It's like, did we? Like, yeah, we grow spinach. I was like, yeah, but you didn't grow it when I worked there. Yeah, we've grown spinach for many years. It's like, we did grow spinach while you were in. So it's just obviously one of the crops that there are a lot of crops that I knew they grew that I never got round to or never got involved with, because you would have sort of set sort of crops, and you would have set jobs on the farm, and it did mean that sometimes you didn't get to other sort of cultures on the farm, so. But yeah, with the inclusion of that, green beans, peas, as I say, onions now, honestly, this game could be truly awesome, and it could be the next one on in terms of improvements, in terms of sort of that next step from FS22, which I think from FS17 which is still a bloody awesome game. I mean, like, you know, I occasionally still play it and I think, Christ, this game had a lot. Like, this game had everything. 19 had everything, you know. FS22, it was very good. I think it improved it, you know, slightly. And I love the game. I do love FS22, to be fair. But FS25, it's like I try so hard to love it, and I try so hard to like it, but it just doesn't seem to ever quite click. But anyway, so I've had to stop doing the grass, as you can see, and what I'm going to do is, for the rest of this episode, it wasn't planned, but I do need a bit of money, because there is a bit of machinery and different things that have come available for me to, you know, that I need to buy, like cool. I can't think what they're called. You know, the mixer feeder things. You know, that you, I can't think of the name of them. But you know, what you put TMR in and feed the cows. You know, a feed mixer. There we go. That was what I was looking for. So one of them's come available, which is quite a small one, which is handy because we've got quite a tight yard. So I need to buy that, and we do just about have enough money for that. But I've also got to make sure that I also keep enough money, you know, in the bank to pay the mortgage. So the mortgage, as I say, needs paying. So I just thought, well, do you know what? Actually, while I wait for the comments to come in from this episode, and while I sort of decide as well what's best for the series. Because we need hay, you know, that is the thing. I can't make TMR without hay, and if the game's not going to allow me to TED and, you know, sort of produce hay in the correct way for the game, if you like, then I do need to come up with a solution. There is a solution out there. It's not a solution that I've ever seen get mentioned by anybody else. In terms of, I've never seen another video on it, I've never seen anyone talk about it, but there is a solution out there. And like I say, what I might do is, by the time this video goes out, I may have already have done a separate video the week before about how to fix that issue. But I mean, it's probably something that I know I want you guys to kind of comment on it, because I want to hear your thoughts. But you know, it may well be something that I do anyway, just because, as I say, I need hay. You know, I can't get away with having cows and not having hay. Yes, I can feed them silage, and only silage. The problem with that is I'm going to lose out on a percentage of milk, and obviously milk is going to be, you know, what keeps the farm afloat moving forward. So yeah, we need to sort that out. But for today, for the rest of the episode, what we'll do is we'll do some contracting. So we'll do this one. There's a couple of other contracts on there that we can do as well, and then I've also got it set as well that the contracts don't provide any equipment, so I can't just do any contract. I actually do have to have the equipment myself, otherwise I can't. I can take the job, but I can't complete it because I can't borrow any equipment, and that's then stops me from, you know, just sort of, oh, we'll do that. Oh, that one's worth 50,000. We haven't got the equipment, but don't worry about it. I'll borrow it for like £1,000 or something, and, you know, we'll become rich overnight. I can't do that because I actually have to have the equipment to do the job, otherwise. And also as well, the way that the mod that I've got in is set up, that if I then do accept the job but then don't complete the job, I get fined the amount that I would have got paid. So, you know, I have to make damn well sure that the equipment that I've got to do the job is to do the job and do the job right, otherwise I get fined. You know, so I've sort of done that so that I can't cheat the system in a way. So every job that we do, we have to legitimately A, have the equipment, and B, you know, be able to do. But it did give me a bit of an excuse to get the old Challenger out of the shed. So you know, I don't need much of an excuse to get on a Challenger, whether we're in Farming Simulator 25, 22, 19, 17, or in real life. You know, as soon as the call comes in from Kerry or someone, oh, by the way, I'm not too far from where you live. currently, you know, ploughing or dip Torontoing or, you know, doing whatever. Do you want to come for a ride? It's like, yes, please. But anyway, so what we'll do is we'll switch over to a bit of time lapse and we'll just play the rest of this episode out with some contracts. We'll earn some money and then we'll be able to get some equipment. So I'll see you all in a bit. Bye for now. Right, so we're back again, yes. And as you can obviously see, we're doing a spot of ploughing, a little bit of contract ploughing. Quite a big field actually. I didn't quite appreciate how big this field was when I started, but anyway, we'll crack on. We won't. To be fair, once we start getting out of the gauze, which is what we're in now, it won't take too long. To be fair, once we start doing full length of the field breed, it takes quite a bit of time when you're just continually turning all the time. So again, you know, it can take longer to just keep turning around on the headland. So once we get so that we're going and doing full length of the field, we can then crack on, so to speak. But yeah, so you might have noticed that I'm ploughing beyond the last headland breed, and there is a reason for that. As many of you will know, but there might be some new viewers this time around. My job was predominantly ploughing on farm 1 and farm 2, so I used to do a lot of the ploughing on farm 1. Ray also used to do some ploughing as well, but the vast majority of it would be me. Come on, click in. Thank you. But yeah, so if I just sort of show you, so we've got I should be able to get my mouse button up, right? So we've got the last line of the headland here. What you want to do is just scroll out a little bit. So as you can see, look, I've started just beyond that line. Now the reason being is it doesn't matter which way now I plough my headland. It doesn't matter if I plough it from here and go that way, or if I plough it from there and go that way. What's going to happen is I'm going to plough the ins and out for us over. So when you come to power harrow that, or when you come to drill it, or whatever, power harrow first, or however you decide to break the soil down good enough to drill, what's going to happen is your tractor is not going to lump in and out of that in and out furrow when you come over your headland, because you're going to plough it out. So the only one you're going to have is the one that comes around here, but that's easy enough. You then do an extra breed, and what you do is you have the plough in really shallow, and you overlap it and just gradually fill it in, and you leave almost a sort of really shallow trench around the outside. Now farm 1, they weren't bothered. They were like, just plough the bloody headland, get it done. Farm 2, we had a lot of expensive kit, and that lumping in and out all the time over time obviously creates wear. It creates, over time damage and everything else. So they were, can you please plough the last headland breed way shallower, so that it's just a gentle little bump over rather than a lump down and then lump back up again when you hit the other side. So as I say, that's why I plough further than I actually need to, so that when I come round to do my headland, I can plough the in and out bits completely out so you can't feel them, but then I can go round again and I can shallow it all off, and then it will make it really easy on driver, machine and implement going over the end furrows. Like I say, a lot of farms, not bothered or not worried, but when I got to farm 2 and they said that this is the way that we like our headlands done, it was not a problem, because I'd sort of been with my uncle many times at A.H. Worth's and ploughing with him, and he'd already taught me how to do that. And you'll find that most big farms will want you to soften the ins and outs off, because they have 12-meter equipment or whatever, and obviously that overhang, there's not as much support as if you've only got a 4-meter piece of kit on. You've got a lot of weight that's having to sort of in a way hold itself, it's not being supported by the frame as much. And one of the ways to certainly with horse equipment, I found that on the Toronto, on the Joker, sometimes you would find that the beams and the bars would crack, and then they would break. They would start to split in two, and that we think that was caused by going in and out at the end, and hence the reason why we all then made sure that we were ploughing the last furrow very, very shallow. I mean, as it is now, if you look at this furrow, I mean, it's not very bright out here, and the Challenger lights are not very good. But if you look at this furrow now, that's a little bit too deep, really. In real life, you wouldn't really plough. You would if it was winter and you wanted to, the field had terrible blackgrass, or had something that you really wanted to bury, then yeah, you could winter plough that at 10, 12, maybe 13 inches and get it. But for what we're doing, I mean, this field, I don't, does it say what it was? It was parsnips. So veg field, quite good nitrogen content. You would be ploughing probably about 4 to 6 inches. That is way too deep, because you're burying the goodness of what the plant's giving you. So as I say, you wouldn't be ploughing that deep. But like I say, if it turned out that the field had terrible blackgrass or ryegrass or wild oats or anything like that, and you thought, no, do you know what, actually we want to start again, then you would go quite a bit deeper, and you would probably subsoil it as well, just to help the plough get into that depth, and make sure that it can get and turn all of the soil over. Because if the ground's too hard, you're basically going to end up and start snapping and shearing bolts off. So you need to make sure that the ground is suitable to get in at that depth. But yeah, as I say, as a rule, you wouldn't really want to. I mean, sort of there as we're running, it doesn't look quite so bad, but it's still a bit on the deep side. And the other great thing about Giants is plough texture and the GPS and the ploughs. They don't all work together. We're told that we've got multi-terrain angle. Well, why is the terrain not able to go at the angle I'm going at? And because it can't, then you get this kind of what we had at Palangi, this low furrow sort of effect. And just because, so if this is happening to you in real life and this is the type of plough that you've got, I would still start with your link arms and then sort of work out from there. Just because it's now a trailed plough, not a mounted plough, wouldn't take it away from it still probably being more likely than not the link arms and not the top link. And on a trail plough it wouldn't be the top link anyway, because on most trail ploughs you don't use the top link, other than perhaps when you're in transport. And then you perhaps would be still use, you would then use the top link, but most of them you don't. Certainly the ones I ever used anyway, you didn't use the top link. And I used a few, whether it be Lemkin or Dad's Dwell, or we had a couple of Governland, or however you pronounce it. We had a wide range of ploughs. I wasn't the only ploughman on the farm, but I was the only full-time ploughman on the farm, i.e. as in, if they were doing something else and ploughing needed doing, and I was doing something else, I would be the one that would be called off whatever else I was doing to go back ploughing, because I was the full-time ploughman. But obviously, when you've got sort of, I think it was about 8,500 acres, I can't plough all of it single-handedly. I'd love to have done, I really would have, but it's just not. And as well, being hired out as well on contract, and doing sort of local ploughing as well. so it wasn't always possible. So we did need, the farm needed to have, you know, sort of, I think it was about 4 or 5 people, you know, that could also just jump on a tractor and plough and go off ploughing, and yeah, they were very good as well. So yeah, anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you have, give it a thumbs up. If you like me, like listening to me rattle on, why not hit the subscribe button? That would be fantastic, and that would really help. As I always say, being a small channel, you know, it really does help me. It helps to kind of spread my word out a bit more, and my content, you know, over the last week that's just been, and over the coming weeks, you know, there's new features on the channel. You know, there's you know, sort of new things that are going on, and yeah, you know, hopefully you'll all enjoy them, and you know, get a lot out of them, and it will help to build the channel the way we want it, and that would be fantastic. So yeah, thanks ever so much for joining me on this episode. Like I say, I really hope you've enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts on about me fixing the grass and how you can fix it. Like I say, I'll do a separate video anyway to show you guys how to do it, just so that you know, if you, you know, basically, if you can't be bothered to ted and you just want you know, sort of grass, I can show you how to get hay without having to ted. It's a very easy fix. It's literally like a one word fix in the maps XML, and rather than having grass, you'll have hay. So we can do that. But as for now, thanks ever so much for joining me, and I can't wait to see you again next time. Bye for now.